Welcome, Corinne.
Good morning, Jeremy. Good afternoon to you. So happy to be here with you today.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And thank you for all of the support that you've given us for many years. You're a partner. You make today possible. And we are seriously really grateful. So the first thing that I'd like to ask you, Corinne, is could you tell us about your journey, your personal journey, and how you've become the executive director of the Kofi Annan Foundation?
Well, my journey, my life story is really one of the United Nations. I joined the United Nations fresh out of college when I was 23, and I stayed with the organization for over 2 decades, and I had the immense privilege of working with Kofi Annan at the United Nations in New York. And 3 years ago, when the opportunity came up to lead the Kofi Annan Foundation, which is a foundation he set up when he stepped down from the United Nations, I just hesitated about 10 seconds, and then I applied. So for the last 3 years, I've been leading this foundation, and it's been fabulous because the working on the legacy of this incredible man, and like you, Jeremy, he was one of my greatest mentors, has been nothing but positive.
Wow. Amazing. And I know that you're in New York, and so thank you for that. It must be incredibly busy with the opening of the General Assembly, and I'm sure extremely inspiring to be listening to what's going on, even though some of what we're listening to is of concern. And that's exactly why we've all got to work together extremely hard at the moment to put constructive narrative out there into the world. And thank you for supporting us to be able to do that. As you know, Kofi Annan was instrumental in Peace Day having a fixed calendar date, the 21st of September, and becoming a day of global ceasefire and non-violence. He was instrumental, as I just said. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think Peace Day, meant to him, and what does it mean to you?
I just think this. I am in New York right now, so you'll have to excuse if you hear some blaring sirens. This is the background noise in New York, as always. But I just want to take you back maybe first to a simpler time, which was when the resolution designating Peace Day was adopted. So 22 years ago, we had the first 21st September designated as Peace Day. I just want to remind you that 2 weeks earlier, on 11th September, New York had been the scene of great suffering in Washington because of the attacks on the Twin Towers. And yet, the General Assembly member states were able to come together and adopt this resolution, which is about the cessation of violence, which is about peace. And this resolution was only 3 paragraphs long. So I don't know whether you've seen many GA resolutions, General Assembly resolutions, but they tend to be very long and complex and convoluted. And this one was so beautifully simple. And I think this is what also attracted Kofi Annan to this concept of Peace Day, because for him it was that simple, and you've called him the father of Peace Day. It was a no-brainer for him. And we told you, I remember, Jeremy, that any day that would allow combatants to pause and think about what they were doing to their communities was a great achievement. So he was supporting Peace Day 100%. And peace was the single most important goal of his life, the red thread of all his work, first at the UN and then at the Kofi Annan Foundation. As you know, in fact, the same year that Peace Day was achieved, he received the Nobel Peace Prize with the United Nations. And when I just wanted to quote this wonderful quote from his Nobel lecture for you to capture what peace meant to him. And this is what he said. I quote, "Peace must be made real and tangible in the daily existence of every individual need. Peace must be sought above all because it is the condition for every member of the human family to live a life of dignity and security." End of quote. So you see, he called for peace to be real, to be made tangible. Speeches and resolutions were not enough. He wanted people to act for peace. And this year's theme, actually, for Peace Day is Actions for Peace. So he would have supported it again 100%. And while he called the governments and organizations to act for peace, to make peace, to build peace, he was also very clear that all of us, each of us individually, have a role to play in our workplace, in our communities, in our cities, in our schools, that we can all act for peace. So this is, I think, what it meant for him. And this is what it means for me, obviously.
Yeah. It's amazing that you talk about that. I mean, I remember that when he was going to announce to the world's press, we were there waiting with the cameras. And that was the morning of September 11. I mean, it was that was extraordinary. And his announcement was never made on the very day that the planes hit the towers. Obviously, that story is told in the Peace One Day documentary and the film, The Day After Peace, which, of course, Kofi Annan features heavily in. So people can see that on the Peace One Day YouTube channel. I want to ask you about the foundation. Could you tell us about the mission of the Kofi Annan Foundation? And Corinne, what would you like to achieve? What would he like you to achieve with your wonderful team?
You know, the official mission, the way we word our mission, is that we build on Kofi Annan's legacy for peace by promoting youth leadership, by promoting democracy, and by promoting international cooperation. So it's rather simple as well. And the fact is that today peace is very much under threat, Jeremy, and the numbers that I've been reading this week here in Lima are not good. The peace has eroded on all continents. Between 2010 and 2020, battle death reached the highest level since the end of World War II. The peace agreements that have been reached during the last 15 years are only half as likely to succeed as the ones that were reached during the previous period of 15 years. We have, what I'm hearing is rising inequalities, climate shocks, food and energy crisis, divisions, polarization, and it's gloomy. So what I think Kofi Annan would have liked us to do is re-inject a lot of hope in all this. And this is why he would have told us, yes, we have challenges, and that's why we need all hands on decks. And in particular, he was very clear that we needed young people involved in our peace efforts. He said that the young people were not only the victims of the perpetrators of violence and combatants, they were also incredibly effective agents of peace. So he set up a program that was called Extremely Together, when he worked with young leaders all around the world to build peace, to prevent violence, to prevent extremism, and to build social cohesion. And we are continuing this work. So in the Philippines, in Pakistan, in Somalia, in Uganda, in Burkina Faso, in Niger. And beyond this work, we hope to do even much more with young people all around the world. We're doing a lot also on youth leadership and inclusion, because we think we need the type of leaders, of effective and ethical leaders that Kofi Annan was, and the world is so sorely lacking today. So we really are trying to build this community of young leaders with a purpose, and at the same time, we're also working on the institutions that country needs. So the country for peace, we need both the institutions, accountable, democratic, that serve the people, and the effective and ethical leaders. So this is really the core of our work, Jeremy, and my God, we have our work up out for us.
Yeah. Yes, I can't help but sort of, God, I can't help but feel a bit sad, Corinne, really. You know, I mean...
Don't.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, sorry, but sort of, you know, I mean, it's such a beautiful world we live in. I mean, it's such an amazing place. And I just don't understand. I mean, you know, to hear us talk about the situation getting worse and the suffering that's going on, the inequality, the way in which we're treating each other, the way in which we're treating the environment, the results of the Sustainable Development Goals. I mean, you know, it's a real concern, because we know as a consequence, I can sit here in a nice studio warm But we know the consequences of this are immense amounts of suffering. And it's tragic. And I really want, humanity to pull together, as we all do, as Kofi Annan did, as you do, as your foundation does. And I want to sort of know what's going to awaken us, what's going to change it, what can we do? I mean, I've got a question here, which is, what is the greatest challenge that, humanity faces in terms of our journey towards the manifestation of a more peaceful and sustainable world? What is the greatest challenge? Can we change things, Corinne?
Yes, we can. We can definitely change things. When I am depressed and sad, Jeremy, I live with the young people that I will work with, and they really give me a great amount of hope. So the greatest challenge, to answer your question, the greatest challenge is the lack of trust that we have. It's lack of trust between generations, the lack of trust in leaders, the lack of trust in institutions, even in the UN, lack of trust in the media, lack of trust in science that we've seen during the pandemic, lack of trust between people, between nations. So this is the greatest challenge today. And unfortunately, social media, turbocharged by artificial intelligence, is contributing to increasing those divisions. So what we need, and what gives me hope, is we need to get the young people, the young generation in the driving seat, because they have their priorities right. They know that climate change is the number one global existential challenge that the world is facing, and that we have all to pull together to mitigate and adapt this to this new climate.
Yeah, I agree with you, Corinne. I mean, I sort of sit here thinking, yeah, well, I think I might, in terms of the amount of time I have left here to play my little role, then I am going to, and everyone knows it, put as much constructive narrative into the world that I can, that informs, inspires, and engages those young minds towards action. I can think, having had the limited experience that I've had, that is the number one thing to do. Let's inform, inspire, and engage. And the Kofi Annan Foundation probably does it better than most in terms of the amazing programs that you have for young people. Is that right? Is that what we've got to do? Empower, inspire, inform?
It's absolutely right. It's not only about informing and inspiring, but it's really empowering, because the young people are not waiting for us really necessarily to be inspired. They have all the knowledge. They just need the connection and the access and the networks and the resources. And this is part of the discussions I've been part of this week here in New York, is how do you give them access to the decision-making table and to the resources they need. So this is what we do at the foundation. If you want to know a bit more, you can look at our website. It's Kofi Annan Foundation, one word, .org. And we're very happy to share. Just help us convey this message. Follow us on social media, spread the word, and we're here to stay. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That was the last question I was going to ask you. Where do we find that information? And you've told us. So I urge anyone listening, please go to the Kofi Annan Foundation. Please get in touch with Corinne. They are doing absolutely incredible work from one of the visionaries and inspirations of our time. But let me ask you. I got 57 seconds. What was one of the knowing Kofi Annan like you did? What drove him? Where did that passion come for wanting to help others?
He grew up in Ghana at the time of independence, and he saw that positive, great change was possible. It really gave him a positive outlook. He was a realist, but he was also always an optimist, because he knew that change is possible, positive change is possible. So this is what drove him ultimately, and this passion for his fellow human beings.
Wow, beautiful. Positive change is possible. I'll hold on to that, Corinne, as you know I do. I thank you so much for everything that you do for Peace One Day, for being a partner. I look forward to developing our beautiful relationship in the future. Thank you very much, and good luck with all the incredible work that you're doing.